Hello, everyone, and welcome to the English Globe, your favorite podcast for learning English and understanding the world better. I'm Adam, your co-host for today's episode.
And I'm Julia. We're so glad you've joined us today for another exciting and helpful discussion. Thank you for spending your time with us.
Yes, thank you. Today, we're talking about a very special topic, one that can make our lives and the lives of others so much better. We're going to discuss kindness and empathy.
That's right, Adam. Kindness and empathy are important in every part of life, whether it's at home, at work, or with friends. But before we go any further, let's take a moment to explain these words for our listeners who might be learning them for the first time.
Let's start with kindness. Kindness means being nice and caring to other people. For example, when you help someone who is feeling sad or give someone a smile, that's an act of kindness.
Exactly. It's about doing good things for others without expecting anything in return. Now, let's talk about empathy. Empathy means understanding how someone else feels. It's like putting yourself in their shoes and imagining how they feel.
A simple example of empathy is when your friend is sad because they had a bad day, and you listen to them and say, "I understand how you feel." That shows you care about their feelings.
Kindness and empathy are important because they make the world a better place. When we are kind, we spread happiness and positivity. And when we show empathy, we make others feel understood and supported.
Absolutely, Julia. Imagine a world where everyone helped each other and understood each other's feelings. It would be such a peaceful and happy place to live.
Kindness and empathy also help us build stronger relationships. Whether it's with friends, family, or colleagues, showing kindness and empathy brings people closer together.
So, what will we learn in today's episode? First, we'll learn some simple and useful words and phrases about kindness and empathy.
Yes, you'll learn how to say things like, "How can I help you?" or "I'm here for you" in English. These are phrases you can use in your daily life to show kindness and empathy.
We'll also share real-life examples and stories about kindness and empathy. These stories will help you understand how to use these words and ideas in conversations.
And, of course, we'll give you some fun activities to practice what you've learned. By the end of this episode, you'll feel confident using English to express kindness and empathy.
So, stay with us as we explore this beautiful topic. It's not just about learning English. It's about making the world a kinder, more empathetic place.
We're so excited to begin. Let's get started.
Now that we've introduced the topic of kindness and empathy, let's dive into some personal stories. Sharing stories is a great way to understand these ideas better. Julia, would you like to start by sharing a moment from your life when kindness or empathy made a difference?
Of course, Adam. I remember a time when I was traveling in a foreign country where I didn't speak the language very well. I was at a train station, and I was completely lost. I couldn't read the signs, and I didn't know which train to take. I started feeling very anxious and unsure about what to do. Suddenly, a woman noticed me looking worried. She approached me with a smile and asked, in broken English, if I needed help. She patiently listened as I tried to explain where I wanted to go, and then she walked me all the way to the correct platform. It was such a simple act of kindness, but it made a huge difference for me that day. I still think about her and how her kindness inspired me to be more helpful to others, even in small ways.
That's such a beautiful story, Julia. It really shows how one small act of kindness can make a big impact on someone's life. It reminds me of a time when I experienced empathy from a stranger. I was having a bad day because I had received some disappointing news. I was sitting in a park, just trying to clear my head, when an elderly man sitting nearby struck up a conversation with me. He noticed that I seemed upset and gently asked, "Is everything okay?" At first, I wasn't sure if I should share my feelings with him, but his kind tone and genuine concern made me feel safe. So, I told him about my situation. He listened patiently and said, "I've been through similar moments in my life, and I can tell you it's okay to feel this way. Things will get better." His words didn't solve my problem, but they gave me a sense of comfort and hope. That conversation stayed with me and reminded me how powerful empathy can be in connecting with others.
That's such a touching story, Adam. It really shows how empathy doesn't always need to fix a problem. It's often enough to just make someone feel heard and understood. I think we often underestimate how important it is to simply listen to others without judgment. Acts of kindness and empathy like these may seem small to the person giving them, but to the person receiving them, they can feel enormous.
Exactly, Julia. And that's why we're talking about this today. These moments of kindness and empathy don't require any special skills or resources. They just require us to pay attention to the people around us and care about how they're feeling. And for our listeners, we want to invite you to think about your own experiences. Can you remember a time when someone showed you kindness or empathy? Maybe it was a friend, a family member, or even a stranger. How did it make you feel?
Yes. And on the other side, think about a time when you showed kindness or empathy to someone else. Maybe you helped a neighbor with their groceries, listened to a friend who was going through a tough time, or even just smiled at someone who looked like they needed it. How did you feel after doing something kind for someone? Did it brighten their day? Did it make you feel good too?
If you're listening, take a moment to reflect on these questions. Kindness and empathy aren't just about helping others. They also make us feel more connected and fulfilled. And if you can't think of an example right now, don't worry. Today's episode is all about learning how to notice opportunities to be kind and empathetic in your daily life.
That's right, Adam. And here's an activity for our listeners. After this podcast, we encourage you to write down one story of kindness or empathy from your life. It could be something you did for someone else, or something someone did for you. Writing it down can help you appreciate the importance of these values and remind you to carry them into your daily life.
That's such a great idea, Julia. Sharing personal stories like the ones we just discussed helps us see that kindness and empathy are universal. No matter where we come from or what language we speak, these values bring us together as humans.
So, let's all take a moment to think about how we can bring more kindness and empathy into the world. Whether it's through small gestures like smiling at someone or bigger actions like helping a friend in need, every act matters. And remember, listeners, we'd love to hear your stories too. Feel free to share them with us after the episode.
Absolutely. We'll read some of your stories in our next episode, so stay tuned for that. And now, let's move on to the next part of our discussion, where we'll teach you some useful English words and phrases related to kindness and empathy. Now that we've shared our stories and reflected on kindness and empathy, let's explore some important words and phrases related to today's topic. These words will not only help you understand kindness and empathy better, but also help you express them in English. Julia, shall we start with the word kindness?
Absolutely, Adam. Let's begin with kindness. Kindness is a noun, and it refers to the quality of being friendly, generous, and considerate. It's about doing something good for others without expecting anything in return. For example, if you see someone carrying a heavy bag and you help them, that's an act of kindness. Kindness doesn't have to be something big. It can be as simple as holding the door open for someone or offering a kind word to a friend.
That's right. Kindness is powerful because even the smallest acts can make a big difference. Here's an example sentence for our listeners. Showing kindness to others makes the world a better place. Another example could be, she is known for her kindness because she always helps those in need.
Those are great examples, Adam. Now, let's move on to the word empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. It's like putting yourself in someone else's situation and imagining how they might feel. For example, if your friend is nervous about an exam, you can show empathy by saying, "I understand how you feel. I also get nervous before exams." Empathy helps us connect with others on a deeper level because it shows that we truly care about their emotions.
That's such an important point, Julia. Empathy is not just about listening to someone's words, it's about feeling their emotions with them. Here's an example sentence. Empathy is important because it helps us understand the experiences of others. Another one might be, when we show empathy, we build stronger relationships with the people around us.
Excellent examples, Adam. Let's move on to our third word, compassion. Compassion is closely related to kindness and empathy, but it goes one step further. It means not only understanding someone's pain or difficulty, but also wanting to help them. For instance, if you see someone struggling with a problem, compassion might lead you to offer them support or assistance. Compassion is a powerful force for good because it inspires action.
That's so true, Julia. Compassion is like kindness in action. Here's an example sentence. Her compassion for animals led her to volunteer at the shelter. Or, compassion can bring people together and create a sense of community.
Those are wonderful examples, Adam. Let's talk about understanding now. Understanding means being able to see things from another person's perspective and accepting their feelings or opinions. It's not about agreeing with them all the time, but it's about respecting their experiences and emotions. For example, if someone makes a mistake, instead of getting angry, you can show understanding by saying, "I know it happens to everyone. Let's figure out how to fix it together."
That's such a valuable skill, Julia. Understanding helps us build trust and resolve conflicts in a positive way. Here's an example sentence. Understanding other people's feelings makes relationships stronger. Another one might be, good leaders show understanding towards their team members' challenges.
Perfect examples, Adam. Finally, let's talk about caring. Caring means showing that you are concerned about someone's well-being. It's about letting people know that they matter to you. Caring can be shown through words, actions, or even small gestures like remembering someone's birthday or checking in on them when they're feeling down.
Caring is such a simple yet profound way to make people feel valued and loved. For example, caring for others can make us feel happier and more fulfilled. Or, a caring teacher makes learning easier for students.
Now that we've explained these key words, let's share some simple phrases our listeners can use to show kindness and empathy in their daily lives. These phrases are easy to learn and can make a big difference in how you connect with others.
One of the simplest phrases is, "How can I help you?" This question shows that you are willing to support someone in need. For example, if you see a colleague struggling with a task, you can say, "How can I help you? Is there something I can do to make it easier?"
That's a great one, Adam. Another useful phrase is, "I'm here for you." This phrase is especially comforting when someone is going through a tough time. For example, if your friend is feeling sad, you can say, "I'm here for you if you want to talk or need anything."
Exactly, Julia. Another helpful phrase is, "I understand how you feel." This phrase shows empathy because it lets the other person know that you acknowledge their emotions. For example, if someone says they're nervous about a big presentation, you can respond, "I understand how you feel. I get nervous too, but I'm sure you'll do great.
That's a fantastic phrase, Adam. Here's another one. Take your time. This phrase shows understanding and patience. For example, if someone is having difficulty explaining something, you can say, "Take your time. I'm here to listen."
And let's not forget this classic phrase, "You're not alone." This one is especially powerful when someone is feeling isolated or overwhelmed. For instance, if a friend is dealing with a problem, you can say, "You're not alone in this. We'll get through it together."
So there you have it. Some key words and simple phrases to help you express kindness and empathy in English. Practice using them in your conversations, and you'll not only improve your language skills, but also brighten someone's day.
That's right, Julia. These small words and phrases have the power to make a big impact. And the best part is, anyone can use them, whether you're just starting to learn English or you're already fluent.
We encourage you to write down these words and phrases and practice them this week. Try using them with your friends, family, or even strangers. You'll be surprised at how much positivity they can bring into your interactions.
And now, let's move on to the next part of our podcast, where we'll share real-life examples of kindness and empathy from around the world. Now that we've introduced key vocabulary and phrases related to kindness and empathy, it's time to practice how to use them in real-life situations. To help you, Julia and I will act out some simple dialogues. Each one will show how to express kindness and empathy in everyday conversations. Afterward, we'll break down the dialogues to explain the phrases and why they are important.
That's right, Adam. By listening to these dialogues and practicing them, you'll not only improve your English, but also learn how to connect with people more meaningfully. Let's start with our first dialogue, which is about helping a friend in need.
Hey, Julia, you seem a little down today. Is everything okay?
Oh, hi, Adam. I'm just feeling overwhelmed. I have a big project due tomorrow, and I don't know if I can finish it on time.
I'm sorry to hear that. That sounds really stressful. How can I help you?
Thanks for asking, Adam. Honestly, if you could help me review some of my notes, that would be great.
Of course. I'll be happy to help. Let's go through them together. You're not alone in this, Julia.
Thank you so much, Adam. That means a lot to me.
Let's break this dialogue down. At the beginning, I noticed that Julia looked upset, so I asked, "Is everything okay?" This is a simple way to show concern and start a conversation.
Exactly. And I responded by sharing my feelings, saying, "I'm feeling overwhelmed." It's important to be honest when someone asks about your emotions. Then Adam showed empathy by saying, "That sounds really stressful." This phrase acknowledges my feelings and shows that he understands my situation.
After that, I offered to help by asking, "How can I help you?" This phrase is very useful because it directly shows kindness and a willingness to assist. And Julia, you accepted the help, which is also important because kindness goes both ways.
Yes, I asked for specific help, saying, "If you could help me review my notes, that would be great." Then, Adam responded with encouragement, saying, "You're not alone in this." This phrase reassures someone and lets them know you're there for them.
So, listeners, try practicing this dialogue with a friend. Use phrases like, "Is everything okay?" and "How can I help you?" to show kindness in your conversations.
Adam, can I talk to you about something? I've been feeling really anxious lately and I don't know what to do.
Of course, Julia. I'm here for you. Take your time and tell me what's on your mind.
Well, I've been worried about my job. I feel like I'm not doing well enough, and it's affecting my confidence.
I'm so sorry to hear that, Julia. I can imagine how difficult that must be for you. It's completely normal to feel this way sometimes.
Thank you for understanding, Adam. It helps to talk about it.
I'm glad you feel comfortable sharing this with me. Remember, you're doing your best, and that's what matters. Is there anything I can do to support you?
Just talking to you has already made me feel better. Thank you, Adam.
In this dialogue, I started by saying, "Can I talk to you about something?" This is a polite way to ask for someone's attention when you need to share a problem.
And I responded with empathy, saying, "I'm here for you." This phrase lets the other person know that they can trust you and that you're ready to listen.
When I shared my feelings, Adam showed understanding by saying, "I can imagine how difficult that must be for you." This phrase shows that he's not just listening to my words, but also trying to understand my emotions.
And at the end, I offered support by asking, "Is there anything I can do to support you?" This phrase is very helpful because it shows that you're willing to take action to help.
Listeners, try practicing this dialogue to improve your listening skills and show empathy in your conversations.
Adam, I was waiting for you at the meeting yesterday. What happened?
Julia, I'm so sorry. I completely forgot about the meeting. That was irresponsible of me, and I feel terrible about letting you down.
I appreciate your apology, Adam. I was upset because I was counting on you, but I understand that mistakes happen.
Thank you for understanding, Julia. I'll make sure this doesn't happen again. How can I make it up to you?
Let's focus on finishing the project together. That's what's most important to me right now.
Absolutely. Thank you for giving me another chance, Julia. I'll do my best to make things right. In this dialogue, I started by apologizing sincerely, saying, "I'm so sorry. I completely forgot." A genuine apology is the first step to resolving any issue.
And I accepted the apology, saying, "I understand that mistakes happen." This phrase shows forgiveness and helps to move the conversation forward in a positive way.
Then I asked, "How can I make it up to you?" This phrase shows that you're taking responsibility and are willing to make amends.
And I focused on the future by saying, "Let's focus on finishing the project together." This shows that I'm ready to move past the mistake and work together to achieve our goals.
Listeners, practice this dialogue to learn how to apologize and forgive effectively. These phrases can help you maintain strong relationships even when challenges arise.
That's it for our dialogue practice. Remember, kindness and empathy can transform your relationships and improve your communication skills.
And the best part is, these dialogues are simple and easy to practice. Use them in your daily life, and you'll see how powerful kindness and empathy can be. In this part of the podcast, we'll dive deeper into why kindness and empathy are so important in our daily lives. We'll explore how these qualities make the world a better place and why practicing them can help us build stronger, more meaningful connections with the people around us. Julia, let's start by talking about kindness.
Absolutely, Adam. Kindness is a simple yet powerful way to make a positive impact on the world. When we show kindness, we create a ripple effect. Imagine this. You help someone carry heavy bags at the grocery store. That small act of kindness not only makes their day easier, but might also inspire them to be kind to someone else. Over time, these little moments add up and create a community where people feel supported and cared for. It's amazing how something so small can have such a big effect.
That's so true, Julia. And kindness doesn't just benefit the person receiving it. It also helps the person giving it. Studies have shown that acts of kindness release chemicals in our brains that make us feel happier and less stressed. It's like a win-win situation. You feel good, the other person feels good, and the world becomes just a little bit brighter.
I couldn't agree more. And here's the thing, kindness doesn't have to cost anything. It can be as simple as smiling at someone, holding the door open, or saying, "Thank you." These are small actions that take only seconds but can make a big difference. Kindness is universal. It doesn't matter where you're from, what language you speak, or how old you are. A kind gesture is understood and appreciated by everyone.
Now let's talk about empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. In a world where we all face unique challenges, empathy helps us connect and support each other. Julia, have you ever had a moment where someone's empathy really made a difference for you?
Absolutely, Adam. I remember a time when I was feeling overwhelmed at work. I wasn't meeting my deadlines, and I felt like I was failing. One of my co-workers noticed that I was struggling and took the time to sit down with me. They said, "I've been in your shoes before, and I know how stressful it can be." Just hearing that they understood what I was going through made me feel less alone. It gave me the strength to keep going.
That's a great example, Julia. Empathy isn't about fixing someone's problems. It's about letting them know they're not alone. When we show empathy, we build trust and strengthen our relationships. It's a reminder that we're all human and that it's okay to ask for help or admit when we're feeling vulnerable.
Exactly, Adam. And empathy isn't just for personal relationships, it's important in professional settings too. For example, a manager who understands the challenges their team is facing will be more effective in finding solutions. Similarly, a teacher who shows empathy towards their students can create a supportive learning environment where everyone feels valued.
Let's give our listeners some simple examples of kindness and empathy in daily life. Imagine you're at a coffee shop and the person in front of you is a few cents short for their drink. Offering to cover the difference is a small act of kindness that could turn their day around. Another example is noticing when a coworker looks upset and asking them, "Is everything okay?" These actions show that you care about the well-being of others.
Another great example is helping a stranger who looks lost. If you see someone standing on the street with a confused look, offering to give them directions can make a huge difference. Or, if you notice a friend isn't their usual cheerful self, simply saying, "I'm here if you want to talk," can mean a lot. These are everyday opportunities to practice kindness and empathy.
And the beauty of these qualities is that they're contagious. When you're kind or empathetic, the person you help often feels inspired to do the same for someone else. It's like planting a seed that grows into something much bigger.
That's such a wonderful thought, Adam. Kindness and empathy remind us that we're all connected. No matter our differences, these qualities bring us closer together and make our communities stronger.
So, listeners, think about how you can incorporate kindness and empathy into your daily life. It doesn't have to be big or complicated. Start with small, simple actions and see how they transform your interactions with others.
And remember, when you practice kindness and empathy, you're not just helping others, you're also growing as a person. You're creating a positive impact that lasts far beyond the moment.
Welcome back, everyone. Now that we've explored the meaning of kindness and empathy and their importance in daily life, let's move to a fun and interactive section. This is where you, our listeners, actively participate and practice what you've learned today. Julia and I have prepared 3 simple but meaningful activities to help you bring kindness and empathy into your daily routine. Let's start with practice sentences.
That's right, Adam. Practicing kind phrases aloud is a great way to make them a natural part of your vocabulary. So let's try some sentences together. Listeners, repeat after me. How can I help you? You are not alone. I'm here for you. I understand how you feel. Let's work through this together. Thank you for sharing your feelings with me. Is there anything I can do to make things easier for you? Take your time with these sentences. Say them slowly and clearly, focusing on the tone of your voice. Kindness isn't just about the words you use, it's also about how you say them. Imagine speaking to a friend who needs support. Your tone should be warm, caring, and genuine.
Excellent point, Julia. Now, listeners, try using these phrases in your daily life. For example, when someone looks stressed at work, ask, "Is there anything I can do to help?" Or, when a family member shares their problems, say, "I'm here for you." Practice these sentences until they feel natural. Remember, kind words can brighten someone's day, so use them generously.
Moving on to our second activity, reflection. Grab a piece of paper or open a notes app on your phone. We want you to think about one act of kindness you can do today. Write it down. It could be something small, like helping a neighbor carry their groceries, calling a friend to check on them, or simply smiling at someone who seems upset.
And don't just stop at writing it down. Commit to doing it. Ask yourself, who can I help today? Or, what small action can I take to make someone's day better? This reflection activity helps you focus on the power of intention. When we set out to be kind, we often find opportunities all around us.
Exactly. And if you want, you can make this a daily habit. At the end of each day, think about one kind thing you did. Write it down and reflect on how it made you feel. Kindness doesn't just benefit others. It also makes you feel more connected and fulfilled.
Now for our third activity, role-playing. This one's a bit more interactive. Find a friend, family member, or even a study partner and practice a short conversation about kindness. Julia and I will demonstrate an example.
I'll play the role of someone who's had a tough day, and Adam will be the friend showing kindness.
Hey, Julia, you seem a bit down today. Is everything okay?
Thanks for noticing, Adam. It's been a tough day at work. I've been feeling really overwhelmed with all the tasks I need to complete.
I'm sorry to hear that, Julia. Is there anything I can do to help? Maybe I can assist with some of your tasks, or we could take a short break together to clear your mind.
That's so kind of you, Adam. Just talking about it helps a lot. Thank you for listening.
Of course, Julia. I'm always here for you. Remember, you don't have to do everything alone.
And that's it. Listeners, try a similar role play with someone you trust. One of you can play the role of a friend in need, and the other can practice showing kindness and empathy. This exercise helps you apply what you've learned in real-life situations.
And don't worry about getting it perfect. The goal is to practice, learn, and build confidence. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to show kindness and empathy naturally.
So, listeners, start with these 3 activities today. Practice kind phrases aloud, write down an act of kindness you'll do, and role-play with a friend or family member. Each step brings you closer to making kindness and empathy a part of your everyday life.
And remember, no act of kindness is too small. Even a single kind word can have a powerful impact. We're so excited to hear how you practice these activities. If you'd like, share your experiences with us. Now we're going to talk about real-life scenarios where kindness and empathy are not only needed, but can make a big difference. We'll look at 3 common places where we often find ourselves: at school, at work, and in public places. And we'll share examples of how small, kind actions can have a huge impact.
Let's start with school, Adam. Whether you're a student or a teacher, school is a place where kindness and empathy are incredibly important. Imagine you're a student in a new school, and you're feeling nervous and out of place. A simple smile from someone or a kind word from a classmate, "Hey, would you like to sit with me?" could make all the difference. It's easy to forget how difficult it can be to walk into a new environment, but a small act of kindness, like including someone in a conversation or offering to help them find their classroom, can ease their anxiety and help them feel more comfortable.
That's so true, Julia. In school, kindness also extends to how we treat our peers. Think about a classmate who might be struggling with their studies. Maybe they're having trouble understanding a lesson. If you take the time to offer help, Even just by explaining something in a simpler way or inviting them to study together, you're showing empathy. You're helping them feel understood and supported. Sometimes, just knowing that someone cares can motivate them to keep going.
Exactly. And this applies to teachers too. A teacher who listens with empathy, understands when students are feeling overwhelmed, and offers encouragement can make a huge difference in a student's life. I remember one of my teachers noticed I was struggling with a project, and instead of just marking it as incomplete, she sat with me after class and helped me figure out where I went wrong. That little extra time and attention made me feel valued, and I ended up finishing the project with confidence.
Now, let's move on to the workplace. Kindness and empathy at work are just as crucial. Think about your own workplace environment. How does it feel when you walk in every day? Do people greet each other with a friendly smile? Is there a sense of understanding when someone is having a bad day? At work, empathy helps create a positive environment where everyone feels respected and supported.
Absolutely, Adam. One example that comes to mind is when a colleague is going through a tough time. Maybe they're dealing with personal challenges or feeling stressed about a big project. A simple check-in like, "Hey, I noticed you seem a bit stressed today. Is there anything I can do to help?" can show them that you care. Even if you don't have a solution to their problem, just offering to listen can make them feel supported. It's important to remember that empathy doesn't always mean you have to fix someone's problem. Sometimes just acknowledging their feelings is enough to help them feel better.
Right. And kindness in the workplace isn't just about big gestures. It's also about the small things. For instance, complimenting a colleague on their work, saying thank you when someone helps you with a task, or even offering a cup of coffee when you see a coworker working late, can all create a culture of kindness. These small actions may seem simple, but they show respect and appreciation. Over time, they build trust and create a supportive, collaborative atmosphere.
I've also seen how kindness and empathy can make a real difference when conflicts arise at work. Let's face it, conflict is inevitable, but how we handle it makes all the difference. Instead of jumping to conclusions or becoming defensive, try taking a step back, understanding the other person's point of view, and responding with empathy. For example, if a team member's approach doesn't align with yours, instead of immediately criticizing their idea, you might say, "I understand where you're coming from, and I see your perspective. Let's find a solution that works for both of us." This approach fosters cooperation and helps resolve issues without creating tension.
Finally, let's discuss kindness and empathy in public places. This might seem like a small thing, but when we interact with strangers, kindness and empathy can leave a lasting impression. For example, think about a situation where someone is struggling with their shopping bags or holding a door for someone with their hands full. Offering to help can brighten someone's day and make them feel valued. These types of small actions might not seem significant, but they can have a ripple effect.
And let's not forget about showing empathy in public when we see people in need. If you're walking down the street and you see someone who's lost or seems confused, a simple "can I help you with directions" can mean a lot. We're all in this world together, and a small gesture of kindness can help someone feel less alone. It's easy to walk by without acknowledging someone in need, but taking a moment to help can make the world feel like a friendlier place.
Exactly, Julia. Another example of empathy in public places is when we're waiting in line at a store or at the bank. It's easy to get frustrated when things are taking longer than expected, but showing patience and understanding can make a huge difference. Instead of sighing or complaining, try to remind yourself that everyone around you is doing their best. A simple, "Thank you for your patience" can go a long way. People often appreciate kindness in moments of stress.
And let's remember that kindness in public places doesn't only mean helping others. It also involves treating people with respect. For example, when we're in a crowded area, such as on a bus or in a busy park, being considerate of others, like giving up your seat for someone who needs it or not talking too loudly on the phone, can create a peaceful and respectful environment. These small actions show that you're thinking about how others feel and that you're committed to making everyone feel comfortable.
So, listeners, as you can see, kindness and empathy are essential in all areas of life, whether you're at school, at work, or out in public. The key takeaway is that small actions can create big changes. A smile, a listening ear, or a simple act of helping someone can transform someone's day. These gestures might seem small, but their impact can be huge.
That's right, Adam. So let's all think about how we can bring more kindness and empathy into our everyday lives. Whether it's at school, work, or in public, remember that you have the power to make someone's life a little easier, a little brighter, just by showing that you care.
Now it's time for our question and answer session. We've received some great questions from our listeners, and we're excited to dive into them. This is the section where we address some common questions that beginners might have about kindness and empathy in English. We'll also offer some practical advice on how you can use these important concepts in your daily conversations.
That's right, Adam. We know that learning a new language can sometimes feel overwhelming, especially when you're trying to express feelings like kindness and empathy. So, let's start with a question that many of our listeners ask. How can I be kind in English? This is a great question because being kind doesn't just mean saying the right words. It's about making the other person feel cared for and respected.
Absolutely, Julia. Being kind in English can be as simple as using polite language and showing consideration for the other person's feelings. For example, when someone helps you, you can say, "Thank you so much for your help. I really appreciate it." Saying thank you is one of the most basic ways to show kindness. Another way is by using phrases like, "How can I help you?" or "Is there anything I can do for you?" These are simple yet powerful ways to show you care about the other person's well-being.
Exactly. And don't forget about non-verbal kindness. Sometimes it's not just the words you say, but how you say them. Smiling, using a gentle tone, and showing good body language can all communicate kindness in English. So if you want to sound more kind, focus on your tone. A soft, calm voice shows that you're approachable and that you care. Even something as simple as saying, "Please" and "Thank you" can make a huge difference in how people perceive your kindness.
That's a great point, Julia. And we also want to remind our listeners that kindness isn't always about using big or complex words. In fact, sometimes the simplest phrases are the most powerful. For instance, if someone is feeling sad, you can say, "I'm sorry you're feeling this way. I'm here for you." This simple sentence shows empathy and kindness. You don't need to have fancy vocabulary to show that you care. It's all about sincerity and thoughtfulness.
Moving on to another common question. What words can I use to show empathy? This is a great question because empathy is all about understanding how someone else feels. When you're empathizing with someone in English, you want to use phrases that acknowledge their emotions and let them know you're listening. Let's start with some examples.
One of the most common ways to show empathy in English is by saying something like, "I understand how you feel." This is simple but very effective because it shows the other person that you're connecting with their emotions. For example, if a friend is telling you about a difficult situation, like a problem at work, you could say, "I understand how you feel. It must be really hard." This phrase shows that you recognize their struggle.
Another useful phrase is, I can imagine how tough that must be for you. This is great when someone is sharing something personal, like a loss or a disappointment. It lets them know that you're trying to understand their experience, even if you haven't been through the exact same thing. For example, if someone has lost a pet, you might say, I can imagine how tough that must be for you. Losing a pet is like losing a friend. This shows empathy and compassion.
And if you want to offer support or comfort, you can use phrases like, I'm here for you, or if you ever need to talk, I'm here to listen. These sentences let the person know that they're not alone and that you're there to help in any way you can. Even just saying, I'm so sorry you're going through this, can show empathy as it acknowledges their pain or struggle.
That's right. Sometimes just listening is the best way to show empathy. You don't always have to solve someone's problem or offer advice. Just letting them talk and showing that you care by saying phrases like, I hear you, or that sounds really difficult, can make them feel understood.
We've got a few more questions coming in. Another common question is, what are some simple ways to practice kindness and empathy in English? This is an excellent question, and it's great that our listeners are eager to practice these important skills.
One simple way to practice kindness and empathy is by using positive, encouraging language when speaking to others. For example, if someone shares a success or achievement, you can say, That's amazing! I'm so happy for you. Celebrating other people's successes is a great way to show kindness.
Another way is by offering help. If someone is struggling with something, you can offer assistance by saying, Do you need any help with that? Or, I'd be happy to help you if you need it. These are simple yet thoughtful ways to show you care. Offering help is one of the easiest ways to show both kindness and empathy in everyday conversations.
And don't forget about small acts of kindness that can be done in your daily routine. For example, if someone drops something in the street, you can say, Let me help you with that. Or if a colleague at work looks tired, you could say, You've been working so hard. Would you like to take a break? Small things like this can really brighten someone's day.
As we're getting close to the end of today's session, we'd like to encourage all our listeners to keep sending us your questions for future episodes. If you have any questions about kindness, empathy, or English in general, don't hesitate to reach out. We'd love to answer more questions in the upcoming podcasts.
Absolutely. Remember, the more you practice kindness and empathy in English, the more natural it will become. These concepts are universal, and by using the right words and phrases, you can make a big impact in your conversations. So, keep practicing and don't forget to ask us anything you're curious about.
That's right. And we hope that today's podcast has given you some useful tools to start practicing kindness and empathy in your daily life.
Thanks for joining us today, and we can't wait to hear from you in our next episode. Keep being kind, keep showing empathy, and we'll see you soon.
Well, everyone, it's almost time to wrap up today's episode. We've covered a lot about kindness and empathy, two very important concepts that we can all benefit from practicing in our daily lives. But before we go, let's take a moment to recap some of the key points we've learned.
Absolutely, Adam. First, we learned that kindness is about being friendly, helpful, and considerate towards others. It's the small actions, like saying please or thank you, that can make a big difference in someone's day. We also learned that empathy is about understanding and sharing the feelings of others. When we empathize with someone, we acknowledge their emotions and show that we care about what they are going through. Whether it's listening attentively to a friend or offering a kind word to a stranger, empathy helps us connect on a deeper level.
That's right. We also discussed how simple phrases in English can help express kindness and empathy. Phrases like, how can I help you? Or, "I understand how you feel," can go a long way in showing that we care. And we can practice using these phrases in our daily conversations to make others feel supported and appreciated. The key takeaway here is that being kind doesn't require fancy words, and showing empathy doesn't require us to have all the answers. Sometimes, just being present and offering a listening ear is enough.
Exactly, Adam. And let's not forget how important it is to practice kindness and empathy in our everyday situations. Whether it's at school, work, or in public places, a simple act of kindness can have a huge impact. Maybe it's helping a friend with their homework, listening to someone talk about their problems, or even just holding the door open for someone. These small acts make the world a better place, and they help build a sense of community and understanding.
And now, Julia, I think it's time for some encouragement. I want to encourage all of our listeners to make kindness and empathy a part of their daily lives. These are not just words or phrases. They are values that can change the way we interact with the people around us. No matter where you are or what you're doing, there's always an opportunity to show kindness and empathy.
Absolutely. So, take a moment today to think about how you can practice kindness and empathy. Maybe there's someone you can help, a friend who needs someone to talk to, or a stranger who could use a smile. It doesn't matter how big or small the act is. Every kind gesture counts. And the more you practice, the more natural it will become.
And we also want to remind you that by practicing these values, you are not only helping others, but you're also growing as a person. Being kind and empathetic helps you develop stronger relationships, improves your communication skills, and even boosts your own well-being. It's a win-win.
That's right, Adam. So, as we close out today's episode, we have a call to action for you, our listeners. We'd love for you to share this podcast with a friend or family member who could benefit from it. And, even better, we encourage you to take a moment to write down one act of kindness you plan to do today or tomorrow. Maybe it's sending a thoughtful message, helping someone with a task, or simply offering a smile to someone who seems down. Once you've done that, share your experience with us. We'd love to hear how you're practicing kindness and empathy in your own life.
Yes, please do. Share this episode on social media or talk to your friends about what you've learned. And don't forget to write about an act of kindness that you did after listening to this episode. You can leave us a comment, send us a message, or even post it online with the hashtag number kindness and empathy. Let's spread the love and make the world a kinder place, one small act at a time.
We truly believe that small acts of kindness and empathy can create big changes. So let's all work together to make the world a better, more understanding place. Remember, it starts with you, and it starts with the simple words and actions that show we care.
And before we go, we just want to say thank you for tuning in to today's podcast. We hope you found it helpful and inspiring. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to subscribe to the English Globe podcast so you never miss an episode.
Yes, thank you so much for listening, and we look forward to connecting with you again in our next episode. Until then, be kind, be empathetic, and remember, every little act of kindness matters.